give one big round of applause to the Arlington High School and Sam Houston Drumline. Good morning, AISD family. How are we doing today? One more time, how are we doing today? My name is Lin Wynn, and I am your MC for this morning. Thank you. Welcome to the 2017 Convocation. We're so glad and excited you're here to celebrate the beginning of an outstanding school year. But I want to know who is the most excited. When I call out your networks, I need for you to stand and loud and proud, I want to hear you. Are you ready? Here we go. Where is the Arlington High School Network? Wow, where is our Bowie network? How about the Lamar Network? Whoa! Let me hear you, Martin Network. Where's Martin? What about the Sam Houston Network? Uh-oh. Let me hear you, the Seguin Network right over here. How about our Newcomer Center? Let's go here, Newcomer Center. Our Arlington Collegiate High School. Our Turning Point. Yeah, they are. And how about the CTC Center? How about our central office staff? And last but not least, what about our school board of trustees? And finally, everyone in AISD. Give a big round of applause to everyone. Dr. Cavazos, we're all here today. Please stand for the posting of colors under the command of Cadet Colonel Lexi Veer, Texas 31st Air Force Junior ROTC. Following the posting of colors, remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. Thank you, Greg Hogg and Lamar, the school choir director, for this wonderful performance of the National Anthem. At this time, now please welcome Board President Dr. Aaron Rice.
Thank you, Lynn. Let's give a hand to Lynn Wynn. What a great guy, huh? Woo! Good morning, everybody. Oh, come on. This is Convocation. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. What a fantastic way to start the new school year. I first would like to thank God. Without him, we are not able to do what we do day in and day out. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We, as a board, have witnessed amazing successes day in and day out in this district. Recently, just a few short months ago, we were witness to over 4,000 graduates walk across that stage in this very room. Thank you to all of you here. It's a strong testimony to your incredible abilities, your love, and your support for our students. So give yourselves a round of applause. Those students that graduated are going to realize amazing dreams that all started with all of you helping them along the way from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. Yes, pre-K, yes. It all starts there, that's for sure. Those students realized multi-millions in scholarships. They are attending universities all over this country, starting in our own very backyard right here at UTA. Isn't that great? And they are continuing on all over the country to virtually every Ivy League in the nation. It's truly remarkable what you all do to empower our future. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the board. I can't thank you enough for everything. What a great group here today. My gosh, I love seeing all the colors, all the spirit. I think, do you want me to tell you which network I thought was the best and the loudest? I can't hear you. Well, of course, I'm going to have to say every one of yours. It was great. We as a board do everything we can to serve you, to serve our students, for them to realize their potential. We want to do everything we can every day to maximize that academic achievement potential, which I know is why everybody is doing what you're doing day in and day out. Thank you again so much. We have a budget that we passed with that goal in mind, to support our students, to support you, to support our teachers, to maximize the academic engagement and opportunity for our students as much as possible. We do that with you in mind. We fight every day legislatively. We're in the middle of a special legislative session right now. We are always fighting for true local control, because we all know what the best thing is for our students, right? Not down in Austin. That's what we're trying to do. Through written testimony, through verbal testimony, through working with our legislators, through our legislative agenda, we're going to continue to stand up and support great academic programs, true local control, as I said, wonderful opportunities for what we can do in our community right here in Arlington, Texas. The Arlington ISD is an amazing place. We have so many things for our students, and it seems that more happens as every year goes on. This year is no exception. From our Achieve Today, Excel Tomorrow strategic plan, through active learning cycles, through our 2014 bond program, and so much more, Arlington ISD truly is where potential gets real. Thank you, Arlington ISD. Thank you, Dr. Cavazos. Thank you, everybody in this room. I would be remiss if I did not introduce the rest of the board. I'm so honored to be able to represent our board. So one by one, I'd like them to come on out as I introduce them. Some have surprises on their face. They didn't think they were going to have to come out here front and center like me. Mr. John Hibbs, our Vice President. Come on down, John. All the way. Ms. Keisha Mays, Board Secretary. Ms. Kristen Hudson, Board Member. Ms. Polly Walton, Board Member. Mr. Bowie Hogg, Board Member. And last, but certainly not least, our outgoing Trustee, Miss Jamie Sullins. We are honored to be able to stand here on this court in front of all of you, bearing witness to all of the excitement that is in this room. You guys are really pumped, and we're so excited. We're pumped. Are you guys excited? Hey, what? Okay, who wants to see Bowie do the splits? That's it. That's it. That's our potential. Potential gets real. We'll have to keep working. Thank you, Bowie. It is truly an honor to serve as a group. What we try to do is meet what the community expects for our students, which is nothing but excellence. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity, the privilege, the honor to serve our students, which is what everybody does here. We as a team cannot do it all by ourselves. Nobody can do it all by themselves without the tremendous leadership of our superintendent. Dr. Cavazos, our Texas State Superintendent of the Year. Isn't that great? Will be entering the stage doing cartwheels and backflips. Just kidding. Thank you so much for allowing us to take just a couple of minutes to say thank you, everybody, for the love, the care, the support that you show our future. Thank you so much. And with that, Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, Dr. Rice. And thank you all so much for joining us this morning. If somebody was supposed to be here that didn't come today, don't tell me. We're assuming everybody is here. Thank you so much for your energy, for your commitment. In all transparency, as you know that I like to just share everything that we can. In all transparency, that stage was supposed to be here. It's not part of our bond, so they didn't get it right. It's over there. However, nonetheless, I thought it'd be important to be closer to you, and we have a little discussion about our school year and things that we're trying to accomplish. So I'll start with a couple of slides, a little bit of what people are saying. We asked teachers, parents, even students, we asked them, what is it about Arlington Independent School District that resonates the most with you? And without a doubt, over and over, these are some things that people said. Every child has great potential, that Arlington ISD actually recognizes that the opportunities that exist today have not existed to this extent before ever in Arlington, and that we make every student prepared for whatever their goals are. These are some things that the parents, students, you, principals, others, some of the comments when we asked you. And that's how we move on to our tagline today, which is where potential gets real. And so you've already heard from Dr. Reich, it begins when the youngest ones enter our school system. And when they enter our school system, I've shared this before, what we want our students, and what we're doing in Arlington ISD, thanks to you, is we want our students to enter with those dreams and aspirations and hope. As they come in all excited, you know, kinder, first grade, pre-kinder, you know how they come in. And if other teachers here don't know that and you want to volunteer someday at one of those classrooms, I'm sure they would let you in, right? But we know that when they come into those grade levels, their parents, their grandparents, their family, if it's the first time they're in school, they're excited with the hopes and dreams of what the future can hold. And in our school system, we want those dreams to continue to blossom and grow, not to diminish. As they go through our system, that continues when they reach graduation, that their potential actually gets real, and we serve all students. All students from all backgrounds, all conditions, all situations. Some years they're with us, other years they move and they come back if you're a school that deals with a lot of mobility. But we serve them all because our commitment is our one goal, that 100% of our students will graduate exceptionally prepared for college, career, and citizenship. And that's very purposeful. Exceptionally prepared. Doesn't mean we take it for granted, doesn't mean we leave it to chance. It certainly doesn't mean that we wait for the next level to get them ready. When they graduate from high school, we do it while they're with us. And that's why Where Potential Gets Real resonates with all of us, resonates with me, with our board, with our community, and with you. Where Potential Gets Real. And so other ways that we're serving our students, and you know these specialized programs, and they're beginning to really be now into the third year, and we're going to have graduates soon from the early college, high school. But this is another way where we make sure that students continue to meet their potential. And that's going to continue. We're going to continue with specialized programs, different design, the GT program at elementary, world languages at elementary, things that are coming to make sure that our students reach their potential. And so as we continue with this, you saw a small demonstration of our fine arts. And our fine arts is so important in Arlington that we've invested over many years, other boards, other superintendents, other administrations, other teachers, over a long period of time has invested in the fine arts because we know that it's a doorway for student success and for their future. So I want to show you some numbers that our wonderful Dr. Jeremy Earnhardt and our Fine Arts Department put together. And if you look between 2013 and 14 to 2016-17, the number and the increase of fine arts participation from secondary performing arts to secondary band, double-digit increase. And part of that is because we've eliminated all instrument fees for students. The access for students to participate in the fine arts is critical. And so as we continue to look at our fine arts and our enrollment, we know that Sam Houston was here, right? Yeah. We know that the enrollment and the increase in Sam Houston band, just the band by itself, has gone up 126%. And so, you know, if you know Jeremy Earnhardt, he likes to put little graphics together. So this is a little graphic of 2012, 2013. They could spell sand and part of H. But today and this year, they can spell it all. Because of our investment and our commitment to our students, they are able to take full advantage of all the opportunities that exist. And so as we continue to look forward on the fine arts, coming in 2020, our own Fine Arts Center that'll be located, Fine Arts Center. It's a performing arts center that'll include theater space and performance space. Many of our stakeholders have been involved in the design and the design of the space, the equipment, the sound, etc. And so this is an opportunity that we will have for Arlington ISD that we have not had before, and for our students. So I'd like to invite you to just watch a little clip of one of our former students, a Bowie student actually, who describes her experience, and she's an actress, her experience at Bowie, and how her potential became real.
Hi, my name is Katie Featherston, and I'm a Bowie High School graduate and an actress and filmmaker. I think what I remember most about growing up in the AISD were all of the great teachers that I had, whether it was Mrs. Casson in first grade or Mr. Eisenhower, who taught me pre-algebra, which I always really struggled in, or the great English department at Bowie. I always felt like I had a lot of support. And no one supported me more than my theater teachers. Mr. Hunt and Mr. Sangali and Ms. Coburn all but dedicated their lives to us. They instilled in us a love for the craft, respect for each other, and a kind of creative camaraderie that I find myself still yearning for years later. It was a really special time, and I have such gratitude to them for all of their dedication and love and effort spent on us. I would not be who I am, and I would not be where I am without them. The AISD, where potential gets real.
Thank you, Bowie High School. Thank you all the feeder elementaries that helped in her success. We appreciate it. So as we move on, here are some academic highlights for this past school year. The scores are not official yet, but here are some things where we've made some gains. I don't want to spend too much time on scores because we know that the students and their experience in our school district is more than a test score. And so the only reason I put this one slide up is because if I don't, inevitably somebody will email me and say, what about the test scores? So here are some results. We know that as our students matriculate to the system, that it's your love, your teaching, your care, your commitment, that a test will never, ever measure in our school system. And so as we move on, we'll look at recent accomplishments that are beyond the test scores, right? So some of our schools have accomplished great things with distinctions, with America's Best Urban Schools, Bailey and Seguin. Patrick was named Capturing Kids' Hearts National Showcase School. I don't know where Patrick is. They're up there. You get a national award, you sit at the very top. That's your reward, right? Fine Arts named one of the best communities for music, as always. Our collegiate high school, Shaq, Duff, Little, named Texas Honor Roll Schools. Thank you so much. Great, outstanding work. And our collegiate high school was named to one of the U.S. best high schools by U.S. News and World Report. Congratulations to our schools. Truly where our potential gets real. Truly where our potential gets real at every school. So, as we move on, our Career Tech and our Career Tech program that's opening this year. They're up there. And so some people have asked, why do we do Convocation 1 year and then take a few years and do day of service and then we do Convocation again? And the short answer is, we like to come together as a family when there's some big crossroads in our history, some big crossroads, some big commitment that's coming to realization this year. And we like to come together not only to celebrate, but to remind all of us about what these opportunities mean for young people. So, the Career Tech Center is one of those reasons that we have Convocation today. Because for many years, if you've been in Arlington ISD, over a number of years, we have dreamed, we have expected, we've worked on the idea of having a Career Tech Center where our students would have other types of opportunities to demonstrate their success and receive a productive job and opportunity for their future. And this year, the Career Tech Center opens for 4,000 students that have already registered to go there. Would you please stand, our Career Tech teachers? When you look back at the history of Arlington Independent School District, you look back at those defining moments when we launched our strategic plan, which was a big transformative effort, when we opened new facilities, when we launched the Career Tech Center that will live on for generations to come. This is a building that will last for 50 plus years and serve students in an exceptional way. And this is our inaugural year. And that's part of the reason that we come together as a family today to celebrate that big milestone in Arlington that many, many, many people have waited for a long time. These are old pictures. Yesterday. Where's McNutt? McNutt, way over there. They know about this kind of stuff. Where's Peach? Yeah. They also know about this kind of stuff. What I usually tell people, because we had, they weren't yesterday, by the way, don't get too concerned. It's been a couple of weeks. But what we tell people is that these opportunities will last for generations to come. If we have to be a little inconvenienced at the beginning, it's worth it. Because it'll be here long, long, long after we are serving students. And so we have another video clip from somebody else who is in our community that went through our school system where his potential became real, and it's connected to our CTC.
I'm Don Krausen, Chief of the Arlington Fire Department. I went to Coll Elementary, Johns Elementary, Hutchinson Junior High, and Sam Houston High School. That's right, I'm a long-haul Texan. The AISD have to be ready for the future because they give you a great education. Good launching point. And today I'm here serving the city because of the school district, which I'm very thankful for. Favorite teacher, Miss Settlemeyer, Coll Elementary. She made a difference. Helped me see things more clearly. She changed my life. The AISD is where potential gets real, especially here in the Arlington Fire Department.
Thank you, Chief Krausen. And Chief Krausen was our first Fire Academy student. I'm kidding. Come on, wake up a little bit, right? Impossible. But we didn't invite him here. He didn't come because we weren't sure if we were going to have too many people in here and we didn't want him to cause any problems. So the chief and I have a great relationship, and that's why he's at the department. Okay, so Career Tech Center, a wonderful opening. And by the way, do we have our namesake, Dan Dipert, here today or not? No? Ginger, what did you do with him? He's working, huh? Another obligation. Well, you tell him we introduced him even though he wasn't here. The Dan Dipert Career Tech Center. All right. As part of the Career Tech Center, we also have our Ag Science Center. Our 5 ag teachers. And it's under construction. It'll open in October. Also have a vet tech program, horticulture, a place to store animals, small animals. That's a commitment we've made. Also, with Tarrant County College, our big push to make sure that we have workforce development as a big part of our school district, that we take the responsibility to align our workforce development with TCC. So that's the next big chapter in our history in Arlington ISD, is becoming adaptable to serve the workforce needs of our area, whether it's logistics, hospitality, or service, that we become that workforce development. In addition to our workforce development, with our UTA degree pathways. So UTA, great university. I wish everybody could experience UT Arlington, just an outstanding university. And so we created degree pathways with UTA, which very simply means that our students at the collegiate high school, starting there first, many of our students who are now seniors, they're coming in as seniors, have already completed the requirements for an associate's degree their junior year. And so, exceeding our expectations in terms of they were supposed to get an associate's degree and a high school diploma at the same time. And their junior year, their end of their junior year, they've got their associate's degree. So what's next for them? And we worked with UT Arlington to create degree pathways, which basically says, start working on your bachelor's degree while you're in high school. Sign your degree plan, take courses at UT Arlington if that's where you want to come to school. If you don't, take them anyway, they'll transfer. And start your pathway to a bachelor's degree, breaking through our expectations where their potential became real. So one of those young people Elias works at this a lot, so much so that he's already completed his associates. And so he's here today. Is that right? Elias is here today, right there. So would you like Elias to come over here? Yeah, Elias, do you want to come on, Elias? This wasn't part of the plan, right? The plan was you were going to stay over there. But Elias, tell us a little bit about how your potential has become real in Arlington ISD. So this is not a video clip of somebody who's already gone through Arlington. This is a young man who's going to start his senior year at the collegiate high school, this degree pathway. How has your potential become real? You want a microphone?
First off, it's an honor to be with all of you guys here, all the AISD staff and faculty. And well, first off, whenever everybody was trying to apply for this collegiate high school, it was all brand new for everybody in the 8th grade in 2013, 2014. And everybody was just excited, just 2 words, free college. And so, coming from a family who was from Mexico, they didn't really have much. They were from more the rural part. My parents said, Elias, you better apply for that school. And so, once I applied and got accepted, I promised myself I'd always try my best to go through the years, take the classes, pass the classes, so that way I can make my parents proud and help them one day. And doing that, it seems that we have exceeded expectations. And at this point, for the next year, we'll be pretty much taking classes at the UTA University.
Thank you, Elias. Appreciate you. Have a great year. Oh, look at this, Elias. Very good. Well done. Well done. Congratulations to Elias. All right, we will continue. So how do we make our goal a reality? How do we make sure that where potential gets real actually happens? If you're keeping track, this is part 2 of a very condensed presentation, so it'll be done soon, and then we'll go to our other speaker. But we make our goal a reality by the culture that we have in our school system. And so we have pictured here principals, teachers, teachers and students. And so our culture is one that promotes the success of young people. And so I'd like to ask all our new teachers, if you're new to the profession or you're new to Arlington ISD, would you please stand and welcome to our school district. Welcome to our school district. Thank you. Thank you so much. You made the best decision to join AISD, and you made the best decision to join the school that you joined. In Arlington, you'll be supported, you'll be loved. I won't say it'll be an easy first year, but it'll be a memorable one. With a lot of people that love you around here. So thank you for being here, new teachers and new to the profession and new to our district. Another part of our culture that we're very proud of is that we've administered our parent survey over and over. And this year, if you look down, this is not too difficult statistics, so don't worry. 2017, 8,700 people completed the survey. 24.5 of those completed it in Spanish or another language. More people that have ever answered the survey answered it in 17, more than ever of another language, and it's the highest scores we've ever had from our parents, the parents that we all serve. And a large part of that is a reflection of the love they have for you in the building, in the classroom. The reflection of the love they have for you and a gratitude for serving their young people, for serving them exceptionally well. So because of that, they respond this way. There's questions about the superintendent. That's why it's not 5. I drop the score sometimes, but they love you. And so I thank you on their behalf and on behalf of all our students and parents. So one way that we demonstrate our commitment is through customer service. And where is Tracie? Tracie is here. Tracie is one of our area superintendents. You can give Tracie a round of applause. And very quickly, Tracie, how do you provide exceptional customer service to everybody you interact with?
Good morning. Not only do I provide excellent customer service, but everyone here does, because we are a service-oriented organization. So as an area superintendent, one of the ways that I demonstrate great customer service is to know that every interaction that I have, no matter who the stakeholder is that it helps cement the culture and the perception of our organization. So as good customer service stewards, we're responsive, we're reliable, we engage others, and we're empathetic. And so in AISD, we believe that every interaction we have helps cement the culture of our organization. So we're all stewards of great customer service.
Thank you, Tracie. Outstanding. So our culture also promotes, I don't know if you know these people. Yeah, some of you may know them. As part of our recognition and our culture that says, you know what, classroom teachers are the most important. Classroom teachers, the service you're providing every day, that's really the most important. So we have an opportunity every month to go out and do Teacher of the Month. And we put it on Facebook Live, which is a little dangerous, but it's okay. Never know what people are gonna really say, right? And so we do that. So if every teacher who is a Teacher of the Month and teachers who are Teachers of the Year, and if you received any other teacher recognition, would you please stand up so we can give you a round of applause? You represent us. Congratulations. Would those teachers please remain standing? All those teachers, please remain standing for just 30 seconds. And I just want to thank you on behalf of our students and our school district, because you represent everyone in this building. You represent teachers, you represent them exceptional well, and you represent where potential gets real. And so on behalf of your superintendent, representing students and parents, thank you so much for everything that you do and your recognition. Thank you. All right, just to give you a perspective, we have over 100 or right at 100 bond projects today. And so you see some of the work that's being done right now. The only reason I show this slide is to remind everyone, if you don't know, because your building hasn't gotten into the cycle yet and it's coming, that we are in Arlington ISD, thanks to our voters and our bond, we're under construction. Under construction for music rooms, for STEM labs, new facilities, etc. And so I thank you for your patience. I know some of you have more patience than others. I sense it in my email. But thank you so much for your patience, for your dedication. And I just take a brief moment, because I share this with all our staff when we meet with principals and others, that it's an inconvenience right now, but what it does for our facilities and service to our students and for the future of teachers is outstanding. And so it's very much like any remodeling project that you have at home. You're excited when they get there. You want to kill them when they're not done. You want to get them out of there. And then when they leave, you love your space. Well, we're kind of in that phase where you want them to leave. Okay? And it's all over the district, just being transparent. It is impossible to schedule everything in the summer or Christmas. It's impossible. There's just too much work, too much good work that has to happen. Because it really modernizes our schools, helps with safety and security and opportunities for students. So, thank you for your patience, and thank you ahead of time for those of you who are next. If you're next, don't talk to the people who are going through it now. Enjoy the experience yourself, and maybe we'll talk again in a year. So, all right, as we keep going, we have multipurpose activity centers, as you know, at every high school. And so there's the marching band, because we made a commitment that they would also be having access. This was a fine arts and athletics facility. And so I put this slide up here because it transitions to our next video clip of a young man who is very successful in athletics, and he's going to give you his perspective of his potential.
The AISD prepared me for this college in general, in life, with all the great teachers who they surrounded me with, and just great people who I'll know forever. Just speaking athletically, I got to go against the best talent, every single game, whether it was basketball, football, or track. If I'm most thankful for anything from AISD, it's probably the teachers that I got to come in contact with. I still invite some of them to some of my games, and I still will, because just the opportunity they gave me. They never gave up on me, no matter if I was doing well, if I was doing bad. They didn't care who I was or what sport I played. They were going to look at me as the same person and even push me harder. And that just kept my standards high, and just trying to reach theirs, it made me a better person for them. The AISD, where potential gets real.
Thank you to all the teachers that worked with that young man. Outstanding. He said he invites some of them to the games. Maybe there's enough tickets for everyone. All right, so as we transition to our last segment on this part, one of the things that we know in terms of our future is that when we want our students to maximize their potential, where potential gets real, they really have to have a learning experience in our school system that prepares them to communicate, to demonstrate, to do the things that we want them to do as they join the workforce or move on to post-secondary school. And so part of our launch in terms of future work that's coming, and there's a lot of pilot teachers and pilot schools that are working on this, but it's our active learning cycle in our school district. So I'm going to spend, because I'm a teacher that way and I have to at least spend a little bit of time on instruction, right? So just spend a few slides on what this active learning cycle is for the classroom. And by the way, this is a multi-year rollout, so don't stress. If you haven't heard of this, this is the time to hear about it. You'll eventually hear about it. If you're participating, then you're the pilot group. But part of what we want the experience to be is to be inspired, to have a culture of learning, relevancy, and authenticity, for them to commit, to reflect a growth mindset, goal setting, and autonomy. This is what we want our students, not only our high school students, but ever since they start in elementary. We want them to also acquire skills and knowledge in a way that really differentiates what they're learning, with critical analysis, small group, formative feedback. And we want them to also have an opportunity to apply their learning in a problem solving, creativity, and all the things that they learn, apply them to real life and to their experience. And finally, to demonstrate and communicate effectively, have goal evaluation, monitor, and adjust. This is the kind of experience that we want our students to have in Arlington ISD. So, the department, the academic department that's dealing with this is headed by Stephen Wurtz, our Chief Academic Officer. And I've limited Stephen to 140 characters. That's all. 140 characters, to explain. Where are you, Stephen? He's on behind me. Wonderful. He was supposed to be over here. He likes to follow the rules. All right, so Dr. Wurtz, in that many characters, what is the active learning cycle and what are we trying to accomplish?
You mean 140 pages, right?
No.
In essence, it's about the learning experience. So in 140 characters, it's about intentionally designed experiences, creating students who are self-directed, collaborative problem solvers, critical thinkers, and communicators.
He did it. He did it. Thank you, Stephen. And Stephen, who is that?
This is a teacher from Bowie High School.
I thought we had maybe a heckler or somebody who was going to come take the mic, but no, she's a teacher at Bowie High School. All right, go for it. Tell us, from your perspective, introduce yourself, by the way, to these thousands of people here.
Okay.
Do you want to come up closer?
Sure.
Sure.
You want me to come up
She's
closer?
a teacher, come on. Well, thank you. So tell us about this active learning cycle. You were part of implementing and also maybe creating some of this. Share with your wonderful colleagues what's coming and what you think this will do for our students.
Okay. I'm Savannah Beanland, and I teach 9th grade English at Bowie High School, and I was so honored to get to participate in our active learning cycle pilot program the last 2 months of school. So yes, it was a complete turnover in the way I did things in the last 2 months of school. But the kids did so great with it. And one of the things that I love about the active learning cycle is it meets students where they're at, and it teaches them and shows them how to get to where they need to be. So some of the nitty-gritty is taking TEKs and leveling them and showing students how they get to meeting the standard. And it's also about giving them real-life experiences, so connecting TEKs, which is what good teachers do. We take the TEKs and we connect them to things that they can really relate to in real life. And so it teaches students how to self-assess, how to be responsible, and which is what we want our future doctors, lawyers, teachers, mechanics to be. We want them to be self-assessors. We want them to know how to have a goal and how to have endurance to get to that goal. So that's one of the great things about the active learning cycle. It's differentiation at its finest.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Doesn't that want to make you take high school English all over again? No, not yet? All right, well, outstanding. Thank you for sharing that with us. And so as we transition, remind everyone that we have one goal, with 100% of our students graduating exceptionally prepared. And we know that in our district, potential gets real. And I'll say that the collective impact that we have today, here, for our students is beyond words. What everyone in this building, and all our other employees as well, but fundamentally what happens in the classroom, what you do every single day for our students is the best national defense, the best economic development, the best hope that we have for a peaceful world. Your work, your collective work, is our best hope for the future that we want in Arlington, in our state, in our nation and world. And so I'm blessed to be your superintendent and to have the opportunity to lead this school district with so many people who are committed to that work, to serving our students, to making sure that this world is a better place. And your hand in that is significant. And I encourage you this year to take some joy. Take some joy in the fact that you are part of AISD today and the things that are happening in their school district today, and that you are shaping the world that we so desperately need to be shaped by our young people, and that you're part of that, and you get that blessing to be able to do that every single day. So as your superintendent, I thank you for the work that you do. All right, I'll transition to Lynn.
Thank you, Dr. Cavasso. Let's give Dr. Ski a big hand. I failed to mention earlier, I missed one school for the roll call. So, Venture High School, if you're here, please. Thank you, Venture. Timothy Kopra returned from the International Space Station on June 19th after serving as a flight engineer on the Expedition 46 and commander of Expedition 47. He is also a veteran of Expedition 20. For that mission, he launched with the STS-127 crew and returned to Earth after a 2-month stay with the crew of STS-128. Selected as an astronaut in 2000, the Austin, Texas native was also in the U.S. Army, where he served as Commander and Operations Officer of the Attack Helicopter Company, Developmental Test Director for the Comanche Helicopter Program, in addition to attending U.S. Naval Test Pilot School, among other duties. Please welcome to the stage, Timothy Kopra.
Thank you so much for having me here today. What an amazing place this is. Oh my goodness. I feel like I'm at a high school pep rally. We didn't do this in Austin, Texas when I was growing up. This is really amazing. You can feel the spirit here. And I love this focus on where potential gets real. What an amazing focus that all of you have for this next year. I had this amazing opportunity to spend several months on the International Space Station over the span of a couple of missions. And as you can imagine, it's an incredible view from the International Space Station. And when you go around the planet every 90 minutes, and as the planet rotates and you see a new place in each orbit, it gives you this real sense of how interconnected we are. And every day when you go to the window in your small amount of free time, it really just blows you away at what you're able to see. You see this very thin veil that separates us from the black vacuum of space, the beautiful moon that we have that orbits our planet. What an incredible experience, and I'm so grateful that I've had this chance to serve in this opportunity. So when I was a little boy, I think every kid wanted to be an astronaut. Either you're a fireman or a policeman or an astronaut. What an incredible dream for a little boy and now for little girls as well. And I grew up in this environment where it was about this potential for our country to go do great things, this sense of adventure that I think excited everybody in our nation, because we knew that we could do this amazing, incredible thing of going to the moon and be able to walk there. The technology that was required, the training that was required, the education, and the whole industry that was required in order to make this amazing thing happen. So, like most little boys and girls, I pretty much forgot about my dream of wanting to be an astronaut because it's completely unrealistic, right? I mean, who can be an astronaut? I was at West Point as a plebe, and when you're a plebe at West Point, you're at the very, very bottom of the totem pole. You have 10 people that sit around each table. We have 4,000 cadets eating at the same time, and the 3 plebes at the end of the table had very important duties like filling up the glass with the right number of ice cubes, cutting the dessert perfectly so everyone had the right serving, filling up the different juices. But one night, it was September, I'd been there for just a few months, we had 3 former astronauts, Apollo astronauts, come and speak to the Corps of Cadets. And I thought, oh my goodness, these men were in the exact same place I was just a few decades prior. And I thought maybe, just maybe, if I worked really hard and I tried to model their behavior and model the things that they did in their career, just maybe I might have that same kind of opportunity in the future. And so it completely changed my focus on what I did in school and where I went with my career. I love this picture because you may not be able to tell, but this is John Young on Apollo 16. He's jumping, right? So he's about 2 feet off the ground there as he salutes. And John Young's an amazing man. he was still coming to the astronaut office Monday morning meetings when I got to NASA in 2000. And when people would say, "Sir, did you walk on the moon?" He'd say, "No, I worked on the moon." So my first opportunity to fly to space was in 2009, and I was a hybrid astronaut in that I flew up on a space shuttle, STS-127, Space Shuttle Endeavour, and then I spent 2 months on board the International Space Station as a space station crew member. Lots of science on board, 1 spacewalk, and it was an assembly mission. And at the time, we had to really focus on the tasks that we had. And so we've had to transition over time at NASA from being an organization that's very focused on tasks to one that's very skills-based, because now that we're on space station, we have to have a very broad set of skills. And one thing that I really gained appreciation for my time in training for STS-127 and Expedition 20 was how important it was for us to have this incredible team that has lots of different responsibilities that have to perfectly integrate together. So this is a picture of mission control, and each one of those consoles is an expert, a flight controller who has their system. Maybe it's life support or the electrical control system or the computers on board. And behind each one of those people is an entire team of engineers that strive for that same position and have that expertise that is coming together in that mission control room. And then all centered around a flight director. And the flight director is really the person who's in charge, because he has all of those different flight controllers, those experts that he uses in order to get the mission accomplished. One of the things that NASA, and specifically the Astronaut Corps, puts tremendous importance on is this development of small team leadership. And what we call it at NASA is expeditionary behavior, because we have to learn and act as a crew in a very small ship over a long period of time. We have to get along, so we put a premium on getting along, but also work with this much larger team as well. So it's essentially a lot like camping skills. When you go camping, you have to be able to take care of yourself. You're not a burden on somebody else. You have to have your own sort of skill set so you can take care of yourself. You have to be a good follower, and to be a good follower, you have to know almost intrinsically how to fit into the team and how to support your leader. And then as a leader, you have to know yourself, because you have to know your own strengths and weaknesses. You have to know your team. You have to know your people well enough to know where you can help them grow and flourish and contribute as part of the team. So not all of our training is underwater. Let me go back one slide. I want to say one more thing about this, this experience here. So part of that training that we do is in different environments where we have that small team. Sometimes it's in winter survival. Sometimes it's in water survival training that we did in Russia. In this particular experience, we lived underwater for a week in a facility called Aquarius off the coast of Key Largo, doing similar missions that you would do on the surface of the moon. So we lived in this facility, and we would drop down that rope you see on the right-hand side and then go on these missions, working with the people on board inside Aquarius and with a team that was also on the surface. So a very close connection between what we do in space and what we did here with our 4 astronaut crew members on board Aquarius. One of the aspects that's very challenging in human spaceflight is preparing for spacewalks, because it's very physically demanding, and there's actually 3 times that you really know that your life is in peril. When you launch, because you're on top of a rocket. When you go on a spacewalk, because you're separated by a vacuum with this very thin piece of plexiglass across your visor. And then when you come home, because especially in a Soyuz that we'll talk about in a minute, it's a very violent ride when you come home. So it's important for us to be able to be very, very skilled when we go outside of space station and do repairs. And as I mentioned, we've transitioned from being very task-based to having this broad set of skills, because we're really not certain what's going to happen with the different components on board space station outside. We may have to go out at any particular time and conduct these kinds of repairs. So this picture of us working inside the neutral buoyancy lab, it's a pool that's 40 feet deep, 200 feet across, 100 feet wide, and we have a mock-up of the International Space Station inside. And it is truly a team effort to get us prepared. For each one of us that's inside the Neutral Buoyancy Lab, we have about 8 divers that are helping us through our training. So it's a very integrated program and a well-oiled machine at the Neutral Buoyancy Lab to get us ready for space flight. Part of the team is very international, so I spent about half of my time in Russia because my job on this last mission was as the co-pilot in a small spacecraft called a Soyuz. 3 people inside. The center seat was Yuri Malenchiko, a very experienced cosmonaut. He was the commander of this small spaceship. And very experienced. His 6th flight into space, he had commanded the Mir space station, the International Space Station, and completed his 6th spacewalk while we were on board together. And then Tim Peake, British astronaut, his 1st flight in the right seat. And so we spent about half our time training there, and that's where I learned what it's like to be a school student in Russia. It's a completely different experience than it would be in America. So all of our exams were in Russian, our training was in Russian, and all the exams, except for the ones that were hands-on, typically were me at the front of the room answering the questions of people that helped design the systems and help train us. So a fairly intimidating environment, something that probably your average student isn't used to here in the States. And so we launch on this Soyuz rocket and capsule. We're at the very top below that pointy piece at the top of the rocket. It takes us 8.5 minutes to get to space. After 8.5 minutes, we're floating. We spend about 4 orbits going around the planet until we dock to space station. So we go to sleep in Baikonur. We wake up in Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. We hop on our rocket, and then we go to bed on the International Space Station. And so then we dock, and this is our Soyuz spacecraft docked onto space station and our new home. That same spaceship serves as our lifeboat, so that if anything goes wrong on space station, we can hop on board and come home. And thankfully, after 6 months, we completed our mission and were able to return back home again. So one of the most amazing aspects of living on board space station is the fact that we don't have gravity, which is a little bit unusual. And what's interesting is watching how our body adapts to its environment over time. The first space flight is a little bit rough. You don't feel very good. Your body is trying to get used to this new environment. But then this time when I went up, after the first day, actually really the first few hours on board, it felt like I hadn't really left space station. We arrived on a Tuesday. On Thursday night, we found out that there was a cart on the very front of space station that had gotten stuck in place, and it had to move in order for us to dock one of our resupply vehicles onto space station. So that was a Thursday night, and then Monday morning, Scott Kelly and I went outside on a spacewalk and were able to make those corrections, do some other work, and then come back inside. So NASA has really become efficient at being adept at these changes and be able to adapt to our situation. While we were still in quarantine in Baikonur, we found out there was this large box called a sequential shunt unit that had gotten disabled and had to be replaced. It's essentially a big circuit breaker between the solar rays we have on space station and the batteries that we use when we're going around the dark side of Earth. And it had to get replaced. We had lost 1/8 of our power supply. And so we practiced and trained while we were still on board space station using the tools that we had, and then went outside. And I remember we were first talking to Royce Renfro, our flight director, about the mission of us going outside for this 6-hour spacewalk. And he said, look, the number one thing is we need to replace the sequential shunt unit. After that, everything else is gravy. So that's your focus. So we went outside, and we're actually on the very, very tip of space station. So you can see all the way down. We're a few hundred feet from where we left out of the airlock, our door to outer space. And did our work, replaced the sequential shunt unit, and actually we got out there about 15 minutes early, which almost never happens on a spacewalk. And as a consequence, Tim Peake and I were able to sit outside and take photographs of each other, take photographs of the planet, of this beautiful space station, and then got to work. And so after we had completed that initial task, we went out and did secondary tasks. I was working on replacing a non-propulsive vent that was pretty near the airlock. And after I was complete, I saw this big bubble of water up on my helmet. I thought, well, that's not good, water in your helmet. It turned out that about a month, right, 2 years earlier actually, there was an astronaut who went outside and had a liter of water in his helmet. Well, that's really bad, and that was actually very, very threatening. And so what NASA is very good at is when it recognizes a problem, they find ways to correct it. And so they developed this snorkel, this big tube that goes down the front of your suit that you could breathe through if you had water on your face. We had this absorptive pad in the back of our helmet, which is essentially a space diaper, to soak up the water if we had water in our helmet. And then a procedure that we're trained on so that if indeed this ever happened again, we would know what to do. And so between all the people that helped plan this eventuality of having a problem with water in the helmet, and then Royce, our flight director, making the very clear call for us to knock it off and go back inside, gave us the confidence that if we saw this happen, we knew exactly what to do. And so what could have been a dangerous situation turned out to be relatively benign, finishing up our spacewalk and going back inside. The real purpose of the International Space Station, now that it's complete, is this amazing orbiting laboratory. There's things you can do in zero gravity that you obviously can't do here, and there's so many things that we can learn. We have lots of fundamental science that we do on board Space Station, and one of the main focuses right now is on understanding the effects of zero gravity on the human body. There are these strange effects that we're still trying to understand, one of which is that for some people, their vision is really adversely affected by being in the zero gravity environment. There's an increase in interocular pressure, and as a consequence, it can distort your vision. And so they train us before we go up with some experts, and we actually talk with them while we're on board Space Station so that we have this expertise on the ground that can help us through these different events. And so on the top picture is a fundoscope, which is taking a picture of my retina. That's not really Mars on the right-hand side, that's the inside of my right eye. And you can see the optic nerve and the arteries and veins coming out. The bottom half is from an optical coherence tomography device, which is what you would normally see in an optometry clinic. And it's taking these cross-sectional pictures of the optical disc, and you can see that on the right-hand side. So we're getting this very detailed information from all the crew members on board so that we can understand what happens before, during, and after flight so we can mitigate this effect. This is an example of the kind of science that we're doing on board Space Station. One of the aspects of space also is that because you're not exercising just by walking around, if we didn't exercise as we do on Space Station, we would lose about 2% of our bone density per month. And that's bad on a 6-month mission. And so we exercise with essentially a stationary bike, a treadmill that we're strapped down to, and an exercise device that we can put loads on our bones and our muscles so we can come back strong. And most of us come back basically within the error band of the exercise of the equipment they use to measure our bone density. We also do lots of technical demonstrations on board Space Station. We flew up this module called a beam, and it was an inflatable module. It came up very compact, maybe about 4 feet across, and then it inflates into this module here, and you have all 6 of us on board inside there from Expedition 47. We also launch satellites from Space Station. Tim Peake and I are installing a satellite launcher inside a small airlock that's used for experiments, and then you can see how it's launching them out from the platform that was grabbed with a robotic arm. We also can do our own experiments on board just to get an idea of the effects of gravity, taking gravity away. And it turns out that Newton was right, that equal and opposite reaction thing, it really does work. And one of the aspects of that is that if, for example, you impart a force on an object and you don't know it and it floats away, it's very likely you're going to lose that for a long period of time. It's one of the biggest challenges, I think, of human spaceflight is just keeping track of all your stuff, which is why camping is a good skill to have. And I mentioned it before, but what's truly amazing to me is how we adapt to our environment. So we come up to Space Station, our balance system is thrown off, but then after a while it completely turns off, and we're completely adapted to this new environment. So we can go ahead and move our body into any position that we want in order to do the kind of work that we need. So we can just move our body upside down or right side up, whichever direction is best to have the right work volume for us. And we also have our cargo delivered in little spaceships. They fly up, they hover outside of space station, and then the crew uses a robotic arm, grabs onto that module, and the ground uses that arm to install it on a space station. That's how we get our supplies, one of which is able to load up equipment and take back to Earth, the SpaceX Dragon vehicle. And this is one of those vehicles after we've grappled it, just before it gets attached onto space station. So 6 months is a long time, but it seems to go pretty quickly because we're so busy while we're on board space station. The ride home is not like coming home on a space shuttle. The space shuttle, when we had this system in the US, would land on a runway like an airplane. This is a little spaceship that lands in the desert, which is pretty harsh. In fact, there are a few things that keep us from being injured in this little vehicle. One is we have this seat liner that's exactly molded to our body. And the way this is done is sort of typical Russian technology. We lie in this big metal bathtub. They bring out a plastic bucket full of plaster. They pour the plaster around us. It firms up around us. We hop out. Someone brings out a putty knife and carves off the sharp places. They put cloth on it, and that's our seat liner. So we undock from space station. For about 45 minutes, there's a long lull until we burn an engine. And what we do is we turn the vehicle around and we burn against the direction we're going, so it's like a brake. And as we brake, we get lower. When we get lower, there's more atmosphere, we get slower, and it starts this chain reaction that brings us back home to Earth. After about another 45 minutes, we separate two components of our spaceship. There's a living compartment on top and an instrumentation compartment on the bottom. It's a very visceral experience when it's separated because it's separated, the top piece is separated by 19 explosive bolts that are above our head. And so when they go off, you know it. That's a good thing because there has been a circumstance where one of those compartments didn't come off and they went back and forth about once a second until it eventually broke free. So it's a relief once those two components are separated. And when the parachute comes out, it's a pretty violent ride until it settles down. And when you finally hit the ground, we have these jets. They call them soft landing jets. They're really not that soft. You hit pretty hard. In fact, you spend about 10 seconds just doing this personal inventory, making sure that nothing is broken. And then shortly thereafter, some Russian helicopters fly in. They pull us out of this little capsule. And then we recover for a little bit. I'm not sure why we have this Russian tradition, but we sit down and have this little press conference, essentially, in the middle of the desert in Kazakhstan. And then after that, we fly in a helicopter to an airport, hop in a NASA jet, and then come home. I think the most dangerous portion of the entire mission may have been hopping in that Russian helicopter, flying from the landing zone to the airplane. And to tell something on myself and how almost disoriented you become having gotten used to your zero gravity environment, when I was lying down in the helicopter, flying for a couple of hours, I was pretty tired, and so I'd wake up every few minutes, and I'd look outside, and I would think, we're over water. And so I'd wake up a few more minutes, and we're still over water. Well, I was looking up at the sky. I hadn't seen sky in so long. It was a unique thing to see. So we worked very hard on the space station, and we have this incredible team, both from the ground in Houston, but also Russia and our other international partners. But the free time that we do have, oftentimes we use that to take photographs of this beautiful planet, which sometimes just looks like a piece of art. This is where water has carved out canyons in Yemen. This almost looks not real, but this is a river going through the forests in Brazil. These are swirls of clouds and ice off the coast of Kamchatka. So I love this picture, but it's a little bit difficult to recognize this. What's special to me about this, when I look down on this water, you can see the sky, because you're reflecting the sky from the water off the Adriatics. So I hadn't seen sky in months and months, and so looking down at the water, I was able to see the sky for the first time in a few months. Probably the most beautiful place on the planet, in my opinion, are the Bahamas. In fact, one time I was taking pictures as we flew across the United States, and you fly at 5 miles a second, so you're going really fast. You have to be pretty quick on the camera. And I was taking pictures of Nashville, and shortly thereafter, we're going over Florida and right over the Bahamas, and it, no kidding, took my breath away how beautiful it was. My favorite photography, though, was taking pictures of cities at night. I think part of it was that it was technically very challenging because you're moving so fast, you have to have these manual settings on the camera, so you're trying to get it just right. But also, when you look down and you see these cities, it's just like a sign of life, right? Because you can see these beautiful lit cities and all the little roads. I love this particular city. This is Sao Paulo. And if you were to zoom in on it, you can see the individual streets. Sometimes you can see the headlights on cars. The other aspect of looking at these cities is that oftentimes I would know someone who lives in these cities. This is Dubai, and I had a friend at the time who was living in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And so you can see the palm, the island at the bottom of the screen, a man-made island. This is actually not a city, but these are thousands and thousands of fishing boats off the coast of Southeast Asia. So families going out and collecting up their catch for the day to feed their family, to make their livelihood. And probably the most incredible thing to see were the auroras from space station. So oftentimes the aurora borealis are very active, the northern lights. In our case, it was the aurora australis, the ones from the southern lights. And they look like they were alive, and we're moving so fast, and they're so dynamic that you could just see them swirl. It looked like something out of a science fiction movie. In fact, one time as the space station commander, my job at night was to put the station to bed. And so we had these covers on our cupola, which is a set of 6 windows in a circle and a large window in the center. And so I'd close up the shutters and turn out the lights and get some sleep for the next day. Well, I went by the cupola, and there was this green glow, and I thought, who left on a green light? Well, it turned out that we were going through one of these green bands, and it illuminated through the windows of the cupola. Just an incredible sight to see some of these auroras from space station in particular. We see 16 sunrises and sunsets every day, going around the planet every 90 minutes, and that never got old. To be able to see these incredible sunrises and sunsets. You know, now, when I first got home, I would sit in our back porch and I'd look at the colors from our back porch just south of Houston, and you can see the same sort of orange, the same sort of blue and black, but to see it so quickly and progress from space station was really awe-inspiring. I really feel blessed that I've had the opportunity to fulfill this childhood dream of becoming an astronaut. And I have to give credit, really, to so many of my teachers growing up, from grade school all the way through high school, for the things that they did for me. They helped keep me on track. Actually, they helped get me on track, keep me on track, which is a very important thing. And all of you are perfectly placed to teach these young people, these young men and women, these boys and girls, so that they can fulfill their potential and you can lead them to their bright future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. Let's give him a round of applause. So Tim just described his whole experience, and it felt a lot like teaching, right, Tim? The rough landing, the reflection, the fact that it felt so good, but it was hard to get there. He reminds us every day that our work is so important because there are Tims everywhere. That's a scary thought, isn't it, Tim? That there's a bunch of yous, but there's a bunch of Tims everywhere who need our love and support. And so, once again, thank you so much. Have a great year, and make sure to take some joy in all that you do for our young people. Thank you so much.